Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:11 p.m. on July 11th, also 7/11. I have not purchased a Slurpee for this occasion, but if I would be the king of uninteresting irony. This is a disembodied head, and Daily number 606, where we learn to be a better gamer. You might have thought that it would be impossible for me to go into DT mode, but Harry Potter ain't got shit! I'm a floating Triforce! Yeah! 10 points from Gryffindor, man. Oh, yes. Let me actually remove these headphones. I don't really know why they... I'm gonna need these, honestly, way hot with them on. So, Today's daily is gonna follow a very simple statement. What if you one day decide that you want to do a rather aggressive play? You don't know what it is, but you're tired of playing passively, tired of playing defensively, and you want to go on the offensive. Attack, 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 attack. How do you go about formulating a build and then executing it? And to do this, as a case study, we'll be looking at Lucifron versus Naniwa that was played, I believe, earlier today or earlier yesterday. It was a very excellent series where we got the chance to see Naniwa do 3 aggressive builds in a row against Lucifron. I particularly am excited to do this topic today because Protoss versus Terran, from the Protoss point of view, is ordinarily a defensive matchup. You sort of stay curled back, getting your Colossus, your High Templar, storming, and then generally doing counterattacks with warp prisms or proxy pylons, and then only engaging when you have absolutely the winning force. Other than that, it's a defensive play from Protoss. So how do you make that offensive? We're going to talk about that today. Tomorrow, I'll be finishing The Last of Us and starting up the Swapper. Tune in at 10 a.m. Pacific. On Monday, it's going to be Fun Day Frickin' Monday, where we're going to be doing the Sky Terran topic. Give me a game where you have no more than 1 barracks and 1 factory active all game long. As many starports as you want. Let's crack that neck again for no reason. Submit those to Monday at day9.tv. And also, if you're not watching, Select is going up against Elige in Game 2 of their WCS qualifier match. If Select wins this, he's into the Challenge League. Or the Challenger League. So I'm only going to be half paying attention to myself. This is going to be rough. So, woo! Oh, man. Now, let's go ahead and open up a replay so we can begin to do this little question. This little questionnaire. Where is it? Ah, yes. Very well. Very, very well. I have a replay loaded up. But let me now throw out a prompt. Put on to do. By the way, for any of you who are wondering what the hell's going on, I'm wearing a green shirt. But this is too awesome not to do, so I'm going to do it. So, you want to do a very aggressive build. Now, when most people decide this, let's just go ahead and fix the matchup. Protoss versus Terran, you're a Protoss player and you want to be aggressive. By the way, I don't think I should turn the green screen on and off. It seems to make the camera freak out. Let me see if we can reset it with one of these. Fix it with one of these. Nope. Gonna be in laggy town. Totally fine with that. Now, try not to get distracted by the fact that you can see through my body. And let's talk about PvT. So generally when someone says, I want to start being aggressive, I want to start attacking, they think about things from their own race's point of view. What's the fastest DT I can get? What's the fastest Void Ray or Oracle I can get? Maybe I'm going to get to their base early with a bunch of warp gates and a mothership core and surprise them. And that's the wrong way to go about thinking of things. That's a really wrong way to go about thinking of it. For a number of reasons. The most important one of which is that just because something is fast does not necessarily mean that it is good. I'm trying to think of a really explicit example. Oh, yeah, here's one. If you decide that you want to go Proxy Barracks Marauder versus Zerg, you're just gonna lose. Zerg will take some damage and then pretty much be easily able to hold things off and kill you. Oh my god, Elige is doing some proxy barracks in this game. This is going to be dramas. Anyways, back to this. It's not just the speed, it's the timing and how it relates. So one of the most important things that we're going to need to do is take some notes about what standard timings are, because that's really what we're going to want to exploit, is the standard timing of things. Let me go ahead and open up a notepad, because it's pretty easy to take some notes. Let's go ahead and increase that font a little bit. Yeah, let's go 28. Here are my notes. We're going to start writing down some significant timings. And the big reason, why we are looking at this LGIM MVP versus Elfie game is so that we can start to get some control points. We can start to get some senses of when Terran generally has stuff up. And this will help us establish what builds we want to do. So let me just walk through a really typical version. In this game, we're going to see MVP go for a very fast expand, command center first, and he's going to follow this up with double barracks. Notice that I haven't even begun to talk about the Protoss side of things, even though this is a Protoss-focused daily. And I swear to God there will be dessert dailies next week. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. But we can immediately note some rather useful information, such as, at around 340, his first barracks is out. But I prefer to have some things that are slightly more of weight. Some big times like this, like 414. Early expand Terran. 415. 1 Marine, 2 racks. Done. And this is about all I want to put in these notes. Because if I'm doing a rush-based build, I want to see what he is physically capable of. So as I speed things along a little bit more, I might note something like, okay, well, he's getting a lot of SCVs and he's not missing his depots. 5 minutes, both gas start. This is a lot more important to me than this is. This is just something that I like to keep track of because, for instance, if I went in at 6 minutes and saw no geysers, I know he's up to something. But still, these sorts of timings will help me locate vulnerabilities. So I'm going to continue to speed through, continue to speed through. When does he start his third barracks? When does that thing go down? Is he going to start a third barracks? Okay, he's starting a factory now. 6 minutes. I've been seeing Marines get produced this whole time. So I'll write down again, 1 bunker, 9 Marines. Very useful thing to have. So we're going to see that right around 6:30 he gets Tech Lab, Stim, he's starting to get Starport up. I'm just going to go ahead and breeze through this part a little bit more. Quickly, Stim gets started. There we go, 7:30 Stim starts. In a lot of other builds this happens way earlier. But I'm going to take one more timing right now at 8:30 and just note, wow, 8:30, 18 Marines. Quite a lot. I noticed that there's not a lot of Marines, still not a lot of Marines, and then quite a bit of Marines. And then it looks like at around 10 minutes, I'll actually pause around 9:30, and I'll do a little bit of rounding. 9:30. 2 medevacs done. Stim. +1 attack. 23 Marines. I know there's a Marauder there, but I'm just going to record that for now. So these are the way that your notes will wind up looking. If you want to be very brief, I think that you should probably kill this and kill this. We're looking for about how much stuff they have at each point in time. What was this there? Yeah. We're looking for about when these vulnerable points are. Up to 10 minutes. That's all I really care about doing because, again, we're going to be doing fast attacks. And This took me all of, what, 5 minutes to do while talking. If you're doing this at normal speed, it's a lot faster. So I'm going to go ahead and collect a little bit more data. So let me go ahead and hop into another game. So, you know, you might get these replays from DreamHack. You might get these replays just from watching people's streams. You might just tune into Muslim and you start writing down, oh, wow, I think he has about 9 Marines, something like that. These games are from WCS EU. So I'll just speed through them. And I'm not going to write down all sorts of timings. I'm going to write down timings for things that are really common. Early expand Terran. In fact, I'll be more specific. CC first Terran. Cool. What build order is going on here? Here's a lot of how I watch replays when I'm like preparing for the daily. I'll hit this point and I'll go, oh, he's going for that sort of Reaper expand opening. So 3:30, let's do Reaper expand, and I'll do this down a little bit. We're actually only going to take notes from 2 games, so I'm not going to go much more than this screen. 3:30, Reaper done. Reaper pops out, he gets his barracks up. Little things are happening, like an engineering base in there. It's not going to have a huge effect on our notes, because notice most of our notes are based on how much units he has, not based on how quick his expand is coming down. But this one will allow me to take a couple of additional useful notes. So 5:40. Let me actually joink. I'll actually do it at 6 minutes. Cool. 6 minutes. How many Marines are out? Looks like 6 and a mine. 6 Marines, almost 1 mine. Almost ready to expo. I'm going to change that to say move CC. Why would I record this as a timing? Why would I record this down? Because I'm looking for vulnerabilities to attack. He's super holed up in his base, but the instant this moves down is an opportunity for me to move out and attack. So this is a pretty common opening that we'll see the Terran players do. They'll open up with this Reaper, they'll get some biomine, and then they'll get a pretty fast medevac out to do some dropping stuff. And we see pretty simply that at 7:30, this is out. 7:30, CC at Expo. Great, we have a vulnerability. Medevac done. Oh, well, he's probably going to be attacking us. We better have an answer for that. How many units does he have? 12 Marines, and he's just started these 2 barracks. I'm just putting 1 racks, because he doesn't even have these yet. If I wanted to, I could add 2 more racks building. Not a lot of stuff. Truly not very much stuff at all. 12 Marines, 1 medevac, 2 mines. And I'm going to go ahead and speed through the rest of this a little bit more. 8 minutes, attack arrives. I'm going to go through this probably till the 10-minute mark. Again, I'm not writing down any of my Protoss timings in this game. I'm just looking at what the Terran is possibly capable of, because I want to see things like when he's getting stim. Wow, stim starts at 9 minutes. I might be a little more conservative here and say 8:30 stim combat starts. He might be able to start even earlier than that. I see it starting at 9 minutes here, and I'm assuming that MVP was just a little bit distracted by the micro there. I'm even giving myself the benefit of the doubt here. And again, we will go up to 10 minutes. 16 Marines, 2 Marauders, 2 Medevacs. 10. 16 Marines, 2 Marauder, 2 Med. All infrastructure out. This is horribly spelled. I may as well spell it in fructose. There we go. We have 3 barracks, a starport with a reactor en route. Again, this factory could have built it, but it didn't. We have a 3rd command center coming up. We have upgrades coming in. Everything is pretty much as is, as it should be. Nice. What have we done? We've looked at 2 of the most common builds in Terran existence, an early expand, and a really good early expand at that, and also a Reaper expand into Mine Drop. Two of the most common openings. The other third very common opening is one barracks, command center, and then into 3 racks, a sort of Wings of Liberty-esque style. So I just took 2 replays in my knowledge of StarCraft, and now I can basically say, all right, I have the timings for most of everything in the universe in PvT. Now, if you're looking through games, you might find a game like this. You might find a game that is not particularly useful. Where is this game? Okay, so let me show you, for instance, a very odd game. Here's a game that MMA and Tails played. Now, to note how odd it is, I will show you right off the bat. Tails is building a gateway on 8, as well as a gas on 8, so that way he can go cybernetics core on 10. MMA is hiding 2 racks, so he can build 3 Reapers at once. Very funky game. So I might try to start writing down Terran timings. This fast double Reaper is not all that unusual. It does happen maybe 4 or 5% of the time on them ladders. But for a Zealot and a Mothership Core and a Stalker to arrive at 4:30, okay, well this replay is useless. I'm never going to write down the timings now because this situation has already completely interrupted everything Terran's doing. So I look at this, I derive some pleasure from the fact that the Protoss player has 6 workers mining minerals, and then I promptly leave the game because it's not useful to me. If you ever can't find replays, just wing it yourself. Just go like, okay, well I'm going to open up single player, I'm going to play a game with Terran where I'm going to try to early expand, and I'm going to get a sense of the timings myself. And you will actually get a damn good sense, I promise you. No matter what league you are, if you're playing by yourself, you will do a pretty damn good representation of what people in your league will be doing timing-wise. So wonderful. Now that we've established this, I'm going to briefly introduce... I'm kind of messed up on my time because I started so late because I'm watching WCS qualifiers. We started at 7. Oh, we started at 7:11, so we're 16 minutes in. Okay, great. Let's therefore hop into this game between Naniwa and Lucifron so we can actually begin this discussion. Which one shall we do first? Ah, this one will be perfect. So, there it is. Game loaded. So we have Naniwa here. First, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this kind of quickly, and we'll see how the timing of this attack interacts with our opponent based upon these recorded notes. I'll tell you right off the bat, this is what Lucifron is going to do. Oopsie daisies. Let me just, I forgot perhaps a key thing. We're seeing that there are some very significant, very significant times when Terran is weak. This is a notable time. MVP had nothing but the bunker and the 9 Marines and nothing else. Here, a little bit of vulnerability. Maybe we would have liked to know what's actually going on at 5 minutes. As well as here, what's the unit count? These things will continue to be more fleshed out as you start to actually test builds. So, Naniwa is going to open up also with something weird. 10 gateway. I'll explain the what of the strategy in part 2. But again, I just want to note some of the timings. Naniwa builds his cybernetics core on 15, gets his second assimilator before he gets his second pylon, because his second pylon is right down there. And there's the Stargate coming up. And it finishes. It's getting chrono boosted. We happen to see a Reaper. But let's pretend for a moment that we didn't even see that. At 5:30, a Void Ray shows up. At 5:30, a Void Ray shows up. But when we come back here, well, he's going to have less than 9 Marines and that's it. Or he's going to have less than this and that's it. Huh. Wow. We start to see, indeed, there's very little out for Lucifron right now. He's about to have, you know, close to 6 Marines, but not so much. And it's very easy also in this position to say something like, well, doesn't this leave you vulnerable to attack? If I want to be aggressive, I need to make sure that I'm alive back home in my own base. But here we see that only at 7:30 would a medevac be done, and he would be ready to move out. And this sort of thing. Now, if we hop into this game, here's the third important piece of information that I want to note before we step away to the break. Lucifron went Reaper and then didn't go factory. He actually went for an upgrade. Huh. Well, gee, it almost feels like taking these notes was not really that useful because we didn't need to, or we didn't have notes for the fast upgrade Terran. We didn't have those, right? Is it useless? Of course not. This Reaper expand into Mind Drop. This will have strictly more stuff than this build. So we can actually look at these notes, and we can use almost all these timings as references and know, well, Lucifron is going to be in worse shape than this. And this is what's so nice about these sorts of early attacks, is you know, okay, I'm only going to be up against Marines. So another instinct, you know, that you might start bubbling up with is saying, well, gosh, you know, a mothership core would actually be pretty helpful if I had the gas for that, because I'm only going to be up against Marines if I see this build. I can micro against them quite easily because, you know, 6 range on the Void Ray, 5 range on the Marine, and then Time Warp makes this very straightforward to micro with. And then we see pretty straightforwardly that the Void Ray Harass is just difficult to deal with anyways. And you imagine if mines start coming out? I mean, look at this. At 6 minutes, we have 2 Void Rays. At absolute worst, this is what we were going to be up against. We're up against a hell of a lot less than that. Now, Naniwa does do a little bit of a flub and lose one there. We'll talk more about the build specifics when we come back for part 2. But what did we learn in part 1? We learned this idea of, well, if I really want to start being aggressive and start trying to bust in there and win with some early attack, maybe an early cheese, maybe an early all-in, maybe just an aggressive play, writing down just a couple of timings truly reveals where the vulnerabilities are and where they aren't. And as we explore through all the rest of these Naniwa games, we'll see, just as in this one, that Naniwa is hitting a clear timing with his attacks, as opposed to just trying to do something as fast as possible. So when we come back, we'll reanalyze this game in greater depth, and then watch 2 more from Naniwa.